go ahead and remove the tape, and we're going to start the process of applying the 3M double-sided tape. As I mentioned earlier, that's how I'm going to be fastening the wing to the trunk lid, is we're going to do the double-sided tape method as opposed to the bolt method. I think that's going to be more than sufficient. I'm using the extra strength tape. It's not the 15 pound or the 10 pound, it's the 30 pound. So it should definitely be more than enough to keep that wing solidly planted down on that trunk lid, even at, you know, higher speeds. So I think that's what we're going to go ahead and do. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape, take the wing off, and then we'll start putting the 3M tape on there. So I have the wing removed at this point. I've got it up on its bottom side here, and this is where we're going to be applying the 3M tape right here. You can see this lip. It's about a 3/4 of an inch lip. Kind of gets down to about a 1/2 inch in some areas, but it's about a 3/4 of an inch lip right here that is nicely around the outer edge, molded right into the outer edge of the bottom of the wing, which is very convenient because that's exactly where you're going to be putting your 3M tape. You're just going to cut the tape down to size, or you don't even really have to cut it if you don't want to. You can just kind of put it over and leave that little overhanging flap right there. It's not going to hurt anything. One thing to point out is that as you run your finger along this little strip here, you'll see these little black points right here, and I'm not sure if those were kind of bolt points or something in the original mold or something, but these little raised areas will need to be sanded down so that you can lay your tape really flat. Now this is the Vicrez polyurethane version of the Rocket Bunny wing, so this may or may not apply if you have a fiberglass version or a version from another company, but with the Vicrez one, this is definitely what I found on the bottom here on the lip. This is going to be very easy to sand off. You can use pretty much any sandpaper or whatever. I'm just going to use my Dremel with my little mini sanding bit. That's this right here, just to kind of sand down. You can see I've already sanded down a couple of them right here, and it should only take about a couple of seconds for each one, just to get it so that it's flush, so that when you lay your tape down, and you're not going to be laying it down over a little mound of plastic or anything that's sticking up, just so that it's a nice smooth seal all the way around. Otherwise you may get a little bit of lift when you try to put your wing down on the trunk lid. There may be a little pop up in certain areas if the tape isn't laying flush to the lip here. So I'm going to go ahead and sand all of those down. It looks like there's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 more of them just around the lip. I'm going to sand those down, and then we will start applying our tape. It's going to be this right here. This is the same exact tape that I used, the same roll that I used to put my louvers on. This is the high strength, again, 30 pound mounting tape, extra high strength. It's what I recommend for sure. It's definitely going to be a safer bet than, say, a lower strength like a 15 pound or a 10 pound mounting tape. Why not just go the extra mile and put the higher strength stuff on there just for safety's sake? I definitely recommend that you just go and buy some of this stuff, even if you don't have anything to install. Eventually you're going to need some, so it's good to have around the house or whatever. Get the high strength stuff, and that's going to be more than sufficient for this wing. The wing itself only weighs probably, I don't know, 5 pounds. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, you enjoying the day?
Oh, I love the sun.
It's gorgeous, huh?
Yep. But I like the rain too. We need it.
Oh, indeed, yes. And so that's going to be more than enough to keep this wing down. It only weighs about 5 pounds or so, if that. So 30 pounds is okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start sanding down those little nubs, and then we'll blow all the dust off and everything. We don't want any dust or residue on here left from the sanding. That's going to interfere with the adhesion of the tape, so we'll make sure that's all really nice and clean. I'll give it a little alcohol rub just to make sure that there's absolutely no dust. Let that dry, and then we'll go ahead and put in our tape. That should be more than sufficient. You just give it about 60 seconds to dry. Should be more than enough. Alright, we are looking good. Now, one other thing while I'm just letting that dry, one other thing that I want to point out is that I had originally, let's head back out here to the Z, I had originally assumed that I was going to have to remove my emblems. But what I discovered is that the wing, the lip of the wing that actually touches the the trunk lid right here, it actually perfectly sits right here below my Fairlady logo and the Nissan logo. So I'm actually not even going to have to remove those, which is sick, because, you know, not only is that the first mod I ever did, but and it saves me work having to take it off. But if I ever did want to take the wing off or whatever, then, you know, it's still there. You know, if I wanted to put the stock one back on or whatever, you know, make any changes to it, it's still there. So, you know, why do the extra work and take them off if I don't have to? And I definitely made sure I double and triple checked that those logos were not getting in the way, or those emblems rather, were not getting in the way of the wing mounting fully flush. So that was hella cool. I found out about that. So if yours is like mine and you get one of these wings, you more than likely will not have to remove your emblems. If you don't want to. If you want to, that's cool too. No problem. I just, you know, any work I can save, any time I can save, I'll take it. All right, so we're definitely dry here now with the alcohol. Alcohol dries very quickly, so it's nice and clean. We are now ready to go ahead and put our tape on. Now, I've already got some strips here cut out to about a 1/2 inch, but you know, and if I put it right up to it there, that looks like it's going to be just about perfect to go ahead and go all the way around that lip. Alright, we now have our tape fully applied on the bottom of the wing, just along that lip there. And what I actually realized was that if you just put the one layer of tape along the lip, it's going to be too shallow to actually make contact with the bottom of the trunk lid. So what I ended up having to do is actually double up the tape and do 2 layers. So I did one full layer all the way around, and then I peeled all the red backing off of it, and then I did another layer over the top of that to increase the thickness of the tape to about 1/8 of an inch. Because if you just do the one layer, it's actually going to be sitting below this outer lip right here, and it's not going to be enough to actually make contact with the trunk, because this lip right here is what's going to be resting on the trunk, and if this tape is below that lip, then or even if it's flush with it, then it's not going to have enough contact with the trunk to actually adhere. So by doubling up the tape right there, you're just extending that tape just a very slight little amount below that lip there, not too much, but just a very small amount, so that it actually can stick onto the trunk. It will have enough contact area with the tape to stick on. So I doubled up the tape, so we're good to go. I went ahead and made sure I had plenty right here in the corner, get all the way up to the corner there. Don't, like, you know, do a little rounding out of the corner and leave this part bare, because this is going to be very important. The corners are what stick up easily, so make sure you got your corners really dialed in well. There's obviously 4 corners, so one here, here, and then same on the other side as well. Get your corners really nicely taken care of. So with the 2 layers on the tape now, we can now head out to the car and do one more test fitting. I think I'm going to pull the car back into the garage and do the actual install in the garage, because if I try and do it out there, you're not even going to hear a damn word I'm saying, because it's so windy today and the wind just absolutely murders my mic. So I'm going to pull the car back into the garage and we'll do a little test fitting and start to get this thing finally put onto the car. Okay, got the car back in the garage now. We're going to go ahead and do our final test fitting, if you will. Before we go in and do this, what I did is I went ahead and cleaned this area really well. Just all the areas that your tape is going to be making contact with the trunk lid. Get it all nice and clean. Get all the dust and whatever dirt, get it all clean, because that's where the tape is going to start sticking to the trunk lid. You don't want anything there. Same exact thing as when you put the tape on the wing. You don't want any dust or any debris. So wherever tape is making contact with anything else, it's got to be perfectly clean. Alright, so I went ahead and cleaned that off real good. So let's go ahead and fit this. It's got the tape on the bottom of it, of course. Go ahead and fit this back on there. This gap is already perfectly closed. Right here, it's exactly just a little bit more pushed down as I'm going along. And we are almost done here. There it is, there's the closing of the gap right there. Very slowly on the tape. Especially where you're putting pressure, the tape's gonna want to rip. So close. Okay, that should do it. Just push on there real good. Stand up, take a look at it. Looks good, nice and even. That gap is closed. This up here, just pop it up a little bit, no big deal. This here, that wing is solid. It ain't coming off of there. It is looking hella clean. So, got the wing on. It's nice and solid. It's good tight seal most of the way around. I'd say 90%. Just got to get this little part right here, this corner, and this little edge right here, and then it is done, man. It's looking hella good. Finally, I'm gonna pull the car out, wipe it down a little bit, and show you guys.